Hello everyone and welcome to the second day of the Oslo Esports Cup. This is the first game that we are going to show. It's the one that I've chosen, but you guys as usual are welcome to request some other games. I thought you guys would enjoy this one the most. It's the first game of the match, Praggnanandhaa, Shakhriyar, Mamedyarov, and it really shows, well, how to properly attack in chess. So let's dive straight into it. There is, as usual, a lot to enjoy. So Praggu has the white pieces and opens with d4. We have d5 by Mamedyarov, c4, c6, knight to f3, and knight to f6. The Slav defense is on the board. We have e3, and now bishop to g4. Pinning the knight, we have h3, bishop to h5, and now knight to c3 by Praggu, e6, preparing to develop the dark square bishop, and queen to b3. It's a more common to chase away the bishop with g4 before playing queen to b3, but Mamedyarov not interested in any ideas as Praggu played it very quickly. So of course he's well, definitely sure that Praggu knows this line very well, and Praggu also knows that Mamedyarov knows this line very well because the game is actually following the game Mamedyarov already played with the black pieces against Van Gaal in 2013 that Mamedyarov won. So if Mamedyarov is, well, having his pattern recognition working correctly, he should be feeling very, very good about the position. So here we have queen to c7 and g4, chasing away the bishop, bishop to g6, and knight e5. Now that is a beautiful knight there. So of course Mamedyarov will have none of it. Knight b to d7, chasing away the knight from e5. And now, while f4 is a good idea in most cases, here it would just be pretty bad for white because after captures, we put a knight on e4, and already you can feel that black is gaining control of this game. If we play something like captures, we're going to play bishop g2, let's say knight captures on c3, or even better, you could play b captures on c3, but you don't even have to capture with this pawn. You could capture with this pawn as well, and it's the same idea. If bishop g2, we're going to capture here, b captures, and now let's say h5, and that's a big problem for white. So not interested in any of this. Praggu just captures on g6 as this follows the game Van Gaal versus Mamedyarov from 2013. H captures bishop to g2, and now g5, taking away the possibility of white from executing h4 and f4 anytime soon. Bishop to d2, and now bishop to e7. And here we reach the position from the set game where Gaal played rook to c1. However, here Praggu just castles, and it is now as of move 13 that we have a completely new game. So we have Praggu castling queenside, Mamedyarov most likely castling kingside. It should be a very, very sharp game. So knight b6, putting pressure on the c4 pawn. We have c captures on d5, c captures, and now you do not want your king on the same file as the queen. Probably the rook is coming to c8 as well. So king to b1, and now knight to c4, putting pressure on the bishop here. So bishop back to c1, and now b5. And this is the case with opposite side castles, or even with the black king still being in the center of the board. It's important to attack as soon as possible, even at the price of a little bit of material. So while this can be captured, this knight will get remaneuvered over to the queen side. You're going to play probably king f8 as you don't want a castle really, and your attack will start happening sooner than white's attack in the center or on the queen side. So here Praggu starts by attacking on the king side. He plays f4, we have b4, we have to attack on the queen side, knight to e2, and now g captures on f4. We have knight captures on f4, and g5 now, chasing away this knight, knight to d3, and now a5. And Mamedyarov is feeling very good here. His position is excellent. He's attacking, and if he can get this a4 move in, that's pretty much it for Praggu. So you could counter this with something like knight to c5 to prevent, well, to stop this bishop from guarding b4. If a4, then we can capture here. Or you can play what Praggu played, and that is queen to a4 with check. And okay, Mamedyarov wants his king on f8, and now Mamedyarov's position is just, well, just slightly better. However, here Praggu plays what can only be called a very serious bluff. Yeah, it's a well, it's not a bluff. It's a very strong move, especially in rapid time format, because h5 is coming, h captures, and g5 is coming. You have to react to this somehow. And the best way to react is to just capture it with the rook. If rook captures, g captures, and h4, you have a passed pawn. The game continues with black being a little bit better. But Mamedyarov played knight captures on g4, saying, okay, I can always capture here, and I don't mind trading if you capture on g5. Plus, I am now ready to capture on e3 as well with both of my knights. However, here comes h captures on g5. Now there's the threat of rook captures on h8. So king g7, and now we have g6. Pragg just playing really brilliant chess here, forcing Mamedyarov to think and takes a breath here, from just keeping his attention focused on the queen side. And that's what it takes to win positions like these. If your opponent is coming at you at the queen side, you have to focus your attack on the center or on the king side. So here we have knight c captures on e3. Capturing with the g knight would have been a little bit better, but again, we have to remember this is rapid chess. Knight captures on e3, and now Pragg plays g captures on f7. And here we have knight captures on g2. But before we continue the position, here you can see just how crazy the position is. You can capture with rook captures on h1. You can play knight captures on g2. You can play knight captures on d1, win some material here. So there is so much that you can play here, but the absolute best move for Mamedyarov is a very, very hidden one. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find this hidden treasure while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting a way out of this complete madness. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's actually pawn to b3. Yes, sometimes we have to, zoom out and look at the entire board in order to find the way out. Because now what you've done is you control the c2 square. Now queen to c2 could be a big problem for white. And we stop this by playing knight to c5. Okay, now the queen does not have access to c2. And after, let's say, bishop captures, pawn captures, and queen captures, we play rook h to f1. This is, of course, impossible to spot. Now, queen to c2 here doesn't really do all that much. We're just going to move the king, and there's not a good continuation. So the absolute best for Mamedyarov would be rook a to f8, and now bishop captures on d5, where you are asking yourself, I don't even understand what is happening anymore here. But the point is, if you capture e captures on d5, then rook to g1, and the black just falls apart here. Or maybe he can defend, but it's going to be very, very tricky. So what you should play here is queen b4. Just trade queens, and after, let's say, captures, we're going to play bishop captures on e6, b captures on a2 with check, king captures, and now we're going to pick up this rook captures on f1, and you get this position where Pragg would be up a pawn, but he would be down the exchange. However, he still has the bishop pair, and the white should always be a little bit better here. Hard to say if it would be enough for a win, but that's the way to defend with black. So if you've spotted b3 here, then you should seriously look into playing professional chess. However, Mamedyarov played knight captures on g2, and this will simply not do. Now Pragg plays rook h to g1, and there's really no good way to defend this. It's very easy for white to just pile up on the knights on the g file. Mamedyarov tries defending with rook h2, but now just bishop f4. Attacks the rook and the queen here. Knight captures on f4. Now comes rook captures on g4 with check. Now we're going to pick up this knight as well. Or if the knight goes back, as it did in the game, knight to g6. Now knight e5. Now again, we pile up on this knight. And if you play something like rook to h6, which seems like it defends the position, there's the incredible queen to e8. And now you really don't have a way of playing this. Just the simple f8 check, and then the queen, knight, and rook are all going after that g6 square. This would be over very quickly. So Mamedyarov played b3 now. It's a great move, only a few moves too late. Queen, and now of course queen to c2 again is possible. So queen captures on b3 and rook to b8, trying to give up a little material to make his attack happen a little bit sooner. But now Pragg just plays rook captures on g6, king h7, and now the incredible rook g2. And it was in this position, yes, on the position from the thumbnail, it was in this position that Shakhriyar Mamedyarov resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So really a spectacular game. Mamedyarov had the upper hand, but Prague was able to trick him. And of course, if the queen is captured, then it's actually a forced checkmate in 8. But Mamedyarov saw this, and of course, he did not want to play it out. The idea is rook captures on h2 with check. Now it doesn't matter where the king goes. Rook to g1, king to f6, and now rook f2 check. And now you don't have any more squares. You have to play rook f3, and rook captures on f3 will be checkmate. And that's all there is. And another thing, after rook to g2, if you don't capture the queen, well, what do you play? It's I mean, there's really no good move. If you play rook captures here, then queen h3 check, and then I mean, it's pretty much the same position, only white has a queen on the board, so that's not really going to work. King g7, queen captures on g2 with check, and I mean, that's just it. And maybe instead of this, you could also go back with something like rook to h6, but then rook d to g1, and again you give up the queen. I mean, it is just hard even looking at this. Rook captures. We're gonna play rook g7 check, king h8, rook g8, king h7, and the rook 1 to g7 will be checkmate. So beautiful position after rook to g2. Mamedyarov resigns, and another spectacular victory for Pragu, who is just destroying everyone in this tournament. We'll see if he can continue playing with this strength. He faces Giri next, and Magnus after that. But so far, he defeated Jordan twice with the black pieces, and the one game with the white pieces, he got a draw. And here against Mamedyarov, he started with a win with white, then a draw with black, and then another win in game 3, which pretty much repeated this line, only the queens got traded off the board, but Prague still outplayed Mamedyarov. So spectacular stuff. Can't wait to see more, but as usual, you guys are welcome to suggest some other games that I will definitely look into. So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and that you've spotted that brilliant defending idea for Mamedyarov, that pawn to b3. Incredible stuff. So hope you enjoyed that as well. I would like to thank USFD FRI, Nicolas Padao, Andrew Dabrowski, Kirsten Lemons, and Guy Lefleur Scores for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of this wonderful event until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.